it failed.
Yes.
And you were left with this sort of lame duck film that you'd spent, what, years working on,
That's
invested
right.
lots of your own money in, and so here you are, a failed filmmaker. And yet you come back, bang, and you write a novel, I Love Dick, really, really quickly. What was that process, dealing with failure, overcoming this huge defeat, and then coming back,
Well,
completely new as a writer?
I didn't really see the writing of I Love Dick
Yeah.
as a triumphant comeback or even a comeback at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at that moment when I started it, it was an act of complete desperation. I didn't know I was writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything that I say in the book really happened. I mean, Silver, who is my husband, Silver and I had dinner with Dick, this colleague of his. Dick flirted with me. I responded. I got all fluttery. I wanted to continue the conversation somehow. I didn't know how, and I started writing him letters. I mean, all of that was true. And I wrote one dumb letter after another dumb letter. But as I was writing these dumb letters, and you know how you write a letter, you know, this is what's so great about romantic love, is like it really can draw you out as a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you really believe that that one other person is the only one who's really gets it, who can really see you and understand you. And so you feel driven to like articulate all of that to the other person, right? So I had that experience, and of course you write a letter, and like one letter is never enough because I didn't say it all. There's more to say, there's more to say, there's more to say. So I kept writing and writing and writing. And as I did that, I realized that it wasn't just about Dick that I had things to say. I had like a whole lot that I needed to talk about in general. You know, I'd been knocking around the art world at that point for like 15 years, and for the last 5 or 7 or 8 of them, you know, as the wife of a much older and famous man, you know, i.e. invisible. And I'd observed a lot, and I'd seen careers rise and fall, and I'd lived through the horrible plague of AIDS that devastated, you know, a whole part of a generation. I'd seen artists become homeless and like, you know, spotted, you know, scavenging junk in trash bins. I'd really seen a lot of shit, and I had a lot to talk about. And I hadn't believed at that point that I had anybody who would listen. And I posited Dick in my mind as like the perfect listener because I was like in love with him. And I really believed that I truly in my heart did believe, because I had become a fan of his work, that he would understand what I was talking about. And if I could just get it out enough, if I could just like articulate it clearly enough, you know, not only would he understand, but he would fall in love with me.
Well, love is the great subjectivity, isn't it? You know, it's the greatest subjectivity.
Yeah. Is that subjectivity? You know, I always get so confused when they use that word in art school. And there are a few words they love. You know, narrative. I will create a narrative. I will tell a story, right?
Yeah.
I will my subjectivity. I mean, what isn't subjective?
Well, I think, you know, when I said that, it was like this subjectivity in love, it wells up from inside you, you know, and takes you over, and you become convinced that, like, if you write the letter, or if you do this, then it will be reciprocated. It's very hard to understand.
About madness.
Obsession, art, yeah, experimental film,
Yes,
writing.
it takes you over. It's an obsession. You know, you don't want to just like write a story. You want to act it out, or you have to act it out in order to write it.
Mm-hmm.
Madness.
Yes.